Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes head into Doak Campbell Stadium in a primetime night game to face Tommy Castellanos and the Florida State Seminoles. Now, this Florida State team is coming off of a very tough loss in the night game at Virginia, a massive upset. The scene after that one, absolutely wild. Man, Duce Robinson, that football is in his hands. It takes him about 8 yards trying to have control of it. I thought he personally caught it. Maybe you have a different opinion, but this kid has a dominant nature to him. 6'6", 225 pounds immediately in this game against Miami. I am circling him. If I'm the Miami Hurricanes, I am not letting this guy hurt me. On the other side for Miami, they've got a kid, number 10, Malachi Toney. True freshman. You kidding me how good he's been so far this season? CJ Daniels, one-hander against Notre Dame earlier on in the year. They've got a couple of weapons catching the football, but it's not just that. Where I have a lot of faith in Miami in this game against Florida State. The question is a lot of the times on the road when you're facing a tough opponent. And this is a tough Florida State opponent. Don't let that loss against Virginia fool you and be overconfident if you're Miami in this one. The run game. How do you take a crowd out of a game? It is running the football. When the whiteout atmosphere just got quiet before that surge from Penn State, the run game. How did the Ohio State Buckeyes do it to Washington? How did they take an electric environment out of it? The run game. Mark Fletcher in Miami have an ability to run the football as well as just about anybody in college football. They did a great job of it last year when Jordan Lyle was healthy. Lyle hasn't been healthy the whole season, and yet they're running the football at an excellent clip. It's not just that, though. Carson Beck is arguably the best quarterback in college football as of right now. He has this team playing at an elite level. Why does he have so much confidence? Because he's got good guys to throw the football to. He's got an incredible offensive line in front of him. He's got a balanced run game and maybe the best defense in college football, led by two just straight monsters, Mesidor, Reuben Bain, unbelievable guys off of the edge, and they will be giving Castellanos problems from the very first snap. Against Florida, it was from the first snap at home. Now, this is Florida State's chance. It's a night game. They're building an opportunity. They're starting off ACC play 0-1. Immediately, everyone was thinking, this is a Florida State team. They've got a straight path, ACC champ game, maybe a loss on there. And immediately, it's like, no. Miami's coming into your building, a loss, and you're all but not done. But this is a very dire proposition if you have a Miami team come in here who is hungry. That is the toughest thing that I believe for Miami currently is how do they deal with what Nick Saban calls? How do you deal with that rat poison? How do you deal with that success? People are saying you're number one, not the Ohio State Buckeyes. You're the best team in college football. You've got the best defense. Carson Beck is in the Heisman conversation. How do you get yourself motivated? Luckily for them, they're playing in Tallahassee. They're playing at Florida State. They're in this matchup against a football team that still beats Alabama, so there won't be a need for them to get super ramped up and pumped for this game. Is at night, so you have all day to sort of wait for it and get prepared mentally right. I believe all of these things, although in typical narrative fashion, you would put those as positives and advantage for Florida State. Actually, in this case, I really believe it helps the Miami team that's potentially biggest threat to them in the ACC is really themselves. I mean, Carson Beck in Georgia, why did they kind of let him leave town and not care all that much and go with Gunnar Stockton? It's because of the turnovers. If Florida State can come out and put pressure on him, make him have to force the football down the field into tight windows, because that's the difference. When Carson Beck throws over the middle of the field with confidence, because he has faith his wide receivers will catch the football and not drop them like they were doing a season ago at Georgia. And by the way, they still had some pretty dang big drops against Alabama this past week that cost them in a huge way. Chance to take the lead in that game. Carson Beck's playing at as high a level as anybody's doing it in the country because he has the experience. He has the arm talent. Thankfully, the health of his elbow is great. He looks fantastic. He's got the mobility. He's got the underrated athleticism and the skills to navigate the pocket, to step up, to shift. That it's a tough guy to bring down for Florida State. We're talking about a very balanced Miami team. And I've of course, it's not surprising that I'll say I'm leaning towards them because of what they have on defense, because of the experience at quarterback, and I'm pairing into it Tommy Castellanos. He looked lost a little bit at times there, and he looked a little bit one read oriented. What I mean by that is it looked like it was Duce Robinson or nothing on the show. You've got other weapons there. We saw it against the Crimson Tide early on in the season. I mean, Malachi Danzy, this guy is very talented. He's got that track level speed. I believe the records in the ACC. So this kid's got that track speed. Finding ways to get him the football. If there's a little bit of a stalling offensively, manufacture a sweep, get him the ball in a screen or two, threaten that Miami defense. You have to be probing early in this game. I'm not really going to be more so first quarter like that will be deciding it because Miami can just come out and jump on you. They came out against Notre Dame and looked very good. They came out against Florida and came out with a nice lead in that one. USF, they did the exact same thing. I think getting up 7-7 and then 14-3, and then they just didn't have a chance. This game being at home, you would think Florida State really has to come out, get a field goal, make it relatively close so that the crowd is in the game the entire time. How do you do that? I believe it's probing that Miami defense and see if there are any weaknesses. There were yards to be had by CJ Carr on the ground. It wasn't something DJ Lagley was able to do. I'm not going to speak on too much of that game against Florida because, frankly, that was an offense that was pretty sick going into that game and didn't have any confidence in it. Florida State's got a lot of confidence. They believe they can run the ball well. They have an elite quarterback that has legs to use as a weapon. That Sawchuk is a dynamic back that you can get into his hands and it really get momentum against a Miami front that has been just dominant. I mean, you're a team. You just ran for over 250 yards, 6 yards a carry, led by your quarterback. The only problem is the run game. You weren't able to stop Chandler Morris. You weren't able to stop Jamari Taylor, who ran for 100 yards on that day. And Morris turned the football over 3 times, but he was gashing you at times in that one. He was finding a way to do it with his legs. Unbelievable performance, by the way. An absolute warrior. We got to give him all the credit in the world. One of the biggest wins we've ever seen from Virginia, and it's in their building. But the lean for Miami really stems and comes from the confidence in the complementary football that they have consistently proven that they can play. A night game environment on the road. There's no preparation so far that there's been from Miami. This is kind of like that last notch in their tool belt before they face the rest of that ACC schedule, that if they can go in there to that environment that is very similar to what Florida State was 2 seasons ago when they went on to go 13-0 and win the conference, is flying around on defense, getting pressure on the quarterback. If they don't get any heat on Carson Beck, which will be a lot to do with them not stopping the run, because Miami has no problem running the football 10 times in a row with Fletcher. They really don't. If you can't stop the run, then we're just going to keep going back to it because we got just bigger, better guys up front than you do with our great offensive line. I'd probably say top 5 in the country. I know Utah was tough against Texas Tech. They're really good up there, very sound. That's what you're staring down the barrel at. And it's tough because if Carson Beck has confidence, boy, does he really threaten the entire field. And the weapons that Miami has, maybe better than last year at the receiver corps. I know Xavier Restrepo was good, but this kid, Malachi Toney, he's just a baller. He's just a football player you insert on the field, and he makes plays. He can block. It's amazing to think of where he'll be next year, and then even in 2 years from now as he continues to develop in Miami. So I'm going to come up with the prediction. I think this is a great football game, that it stays close, that Florida State comes out starting fast. Miami also comes out starting fast, like 17-14 at the half, that Miami gets a little bit stressed on the defensive side of the ball, catching up to Castellanos' speed, similar to CJ Carr, how he impacted that game against Notre Dame, and a couple of weapons. They have Greathouse, they had Faison, they had Malachi Fields, Jeremiah Love out of the backfield. So is this a game where Gavin Sawchuk, can they get him the football out of the backfield? and rely on that. That's a very tough ask. But I have Miami winning this game by a score of 31-26, pulling it out on the road with a clear path, not a whole lot of roadblocks in their schedule after this one to get themselves to a place where they want to be, which would be in the ACC championship game. So this one against Florida State, this is like that opportunity. They get this win. This team could very well be in their ACC champ game. A knock, you would have Florida State 0-2. They look like the biggest threat currently in the conference to you besides Georgia Tech, who pulled out a crazy nice win in double overtime against Wake Forest. They go for 2 and don't get it. I bet a lot of Miami and Florida State fans were not happy about that one. They would have loved Wake Forest to take them down, coming back from 20-3. But Miami gets the win 31-26. Beck and company have just enough to pull off the win on the road. Let me know down below in the comments whether you think that Florida State really has enough to threaten that secondary, that they can get enough out of Castellanos to win this football game, or whether you agree and believe that Miami will come out there and win. I appreciate you so much for watching. I make NFL content every day. I make college content every day. So if you enjoyed, please subscribe for more videos in the future. So excited for matchups just like this one. ACC football is well underway, and so we have a great one to look forward to. So I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.